bit of a different record. One Shot is currently undefeated with 1 regulation win and 2 OT wins. Meanwhile, Arial Arise, they have 1 OT loss, but both of their wins have been in regulation. They also beat PB in regulation with One Shot, having them in OT. Arial Arise losing to Okami in OT, One Shot beating them in OT. There's a lot of mixing and matching with these two teams, but I think just by looking at both of these teams throughout the whole stage so far, yes, One Shot looked great. One Shot are undefeated, but I have to agree with Connor. I think on a map like Clubhouse that comes down to fundamentals, I think Arial have a better foundation.
Fair point. And I went with One Shot because I think there's no reason that they can't win this one out. They've had doubters every week, me included, and every single week they've proved those doubters wrong. So why can't they do it again against an insanely talented team? I guess we'll find out. I am extremely excited for this matchup. And even though these bans aren't very exciting, I think Clubhouse will be quite exciting. We have our very basic and standard bans for this map. Your Maverick, your Thatcher, your Kaid, your Valkyrie. This is as basic and cookie cutter bans as you're ever going to get. The only couple of notable things worth mentioning is that you still have your Hibana in play. That'll be important for the hatches. You still have your Flores in play if these teams are so inclined to bring that out on the attacking side. And you still have the Mira in play as well. All of these operators we could definitely be seeing, but of course, we won't be seeing any of the pretty standard Clubhouse bans, the Valkyrie included. No additional intel. That's something that has been readily available to all of these teams so far tonight, but will not be a factor in Map 3.
Got a SSG-like roam, same operator selection, Mute Mozzie roaming upstairs with reinforcements, supported by their drone denial, castle barricades as well, assisting probably the Vigil and Bar. That's who it usually is, considering Storms is still downstairs. I would assume that to be true. You just have a little bit more,
10 seconds left.
See, because normally with this roam, right, you have either a Legion or a Melusi or someone like that who can kind of give you an early warning sign of a rush. Now, all you have is someone to delay said rush. If you're able to detect it in time, you've got the smoke, so Quartz can sit downstairs comfortably, and if they start running through dirt or blue, he can delay quite a bit of time with those gas canisters and allow those roamers a little bit more freedom for when they fall back.
Well, no one's gonna, of course, have to fall back just yet, because Arial are only now beginning this initial clear, dealing with the castle barricade that was placed on the main stairs. So just a piece of utility, not designed to really waste time, but more designed to force Arial to use a piece of that explosive utility that they'd more than likely like to use elsewhere. So at least one of those breaching rounds from Kento's Ash will be consumed, and for now, Arial will continue this take, gearing up towards the gym side. They've got to deal with Slippery. Slippery will actually stare right at the drone that is looking him straight in the eye, but he won't quite identify it. This means Wimpy has all the intel he could ever want, and Slippery has got to be very careful at now the mounting pressure coming from Arial at multiple different angles. But now, I mean, Slippery should be seeing this drone. No? Okay, there it is. He'll finally see it, and that will clue him in to disappearing. And I got to admit, I like the play from Wimpy there. He knew he didn't actually have to walk in. All he had to do was make Slippery feel like he was pressured, and then he'd rotate in right into the waiting arms of Gomez, and that worked perfectly.
Yeah, good cutoff from Gomez. Slip a little bit too slow. Kento with the next kill, already in stage, ready to catch Storms in the rotate. That's a 3v5 advantage, and while it's a minute 45 taken to clear this out, I would still hedge a bet that Arial Arise are more than happy with how it went. Swaylin is also at about half HP now. He's still got a C4 to his name, and Court still has gas canisters for delay, but is it going to be enough against Arial, who can pretty much, form a tide to take this objective? But he's going to end up opening the kitchen hatch to start things off, not sitting on the soft floor. Smart decision for when he opens the hatch, so that he's not susceptible to the C4 from Swaylin, who's still holding on to it and playing West Armory despite the hatch being opened right in front of his eyes. Gomez is going to begin sledging the floor as Kilo now hits the floor. There's Kento with another kill. C4 goes out, gets the first kill for One Shot, but it's Swaylin now alone in a 1 versus 4, and he'll have to ace clutch if he wants to win this round. There's 25 seconds left on the clock. Stuns are coming in as well. Swaylin now full blind behind box 2 will allow Beastly to plant all the way over towards Moto, and Swaylin can't even win the fight against a prone Wimpy. Arial Arise take round number 1 after a very confident roam clear.
Yeah, that's as clean as it gets from a clubhouse attack. There's nothing to knock about that attack, honestly. I mean, it was a textbook roam clear, starting from both the gym side and the CCTV side. At the same moment, they were putting in cutoffs from everywhere. Kento making that entry into bar, making that initial cutoff position to make sure that when anybody rotated back from above, they would be cut down before they could retreat to safety. Same thing goes for Gomez. He pushed straight into stock and was the player watching the red stairs, watching Secret, so that when Slippery rotated away from his position in CCTV and Cash, he would be there, welcoming him and sending him to the grave. That's what I loved about the clear from Wimpy, that as the Habana, and as he was completely alone, he did not want to be responsible for pushing in and taking that gunfight all by himself. Instead, he used the power of intel to scare Slippery into backing on off. He basically flexed his drone and said, hey, I know exactly where you are. Slippery assumed that, oh, that must mean somebody's coming around the corner to frag me out. I should rotate away. Little did he know there was somebody waiting for that very rotation. Textbook stuff. They transitioned it into an execute beautifully. They took down one-shot players one by one, and the round was in Ariel's fingertips. It was that easy for them. All they got to do is continue that success.
Now they're going to be doing it on a different site. It is Cash, and of course, because Maverick and Thatcher and Cade are banned, that frees up bandit tricking. Storms is going to be the one tasked with keeping the wall safe. He's going to pre-place the bandits, at least for now. Curiously enough, I guess not focused on hard breaking the exothermic charges or the X-Kairos pellets. Maybe waiting for some kind of initial clear and then coming back to the wall after. I'm not quite sure. Swaylin, though, is going to be holding Lounge, and he's the one making sure that Storms cannot be pressured from below. Not only does he have a shield to play with, he's also stacking up his Wamai discs to make sure he can't be, let's say, breaching rounded by the Ash or naded from below by Gomez.
Yeah, trying to cover for all possible solutions that Arial Arise might have for this bandit trick, but that's not going to be too easy in just a moment. Arial now position themselves on this CCTV window. They've got Gomez gearing up and ready to throw that nade. Wimpy will blind himself for now, but still freeing up Gomez to go for this very frag. Unfortunately for him, the ADSs are going to catch that out, and Storms is actually going to go for the head-on challenge. He will not succeed. Gomez actually winning out in that engagement, but Wimpy was taken down at the same time. So you've gone 1 for 1, and as a defense for one shot, I'd say that's a fair trade. You forced Beastly to now use one of his exothermic charges. He's gotten that wall open, yes, but now without Wimpy, without the X-Kairos pellets in play, now Ariel will have to be very careful of how Beastly maneuvers around this map. He's only got 1 charge left, and he can't get open both the Jacuzzi wall and the Cash wall. He's got to pick and choose.
He's going to end up choosing Jacuzzi, where there's 2 defenders holding, Slippery and Swaylin, on either side of this wall, holding the crossfire. Here comes the rush, but they'll be caught by Kento. Both kills going the way of the Ash. Wonderful play from him. Beastly getting picked up as well, and that was a gambit from one shot that did not pay off. It's now just Kilo and Quartz alone in the site in a 2 versus 4 with Gomez and Beastly sure tagged up, but Ariel can now establish the pinch. They've already got plat wall open. DS holding the cut. The other 3 pushing in from Khan. Now, we can't necessarily open the Khan wall. I didn't quite see if it's soft just yet. I wonder if it is, considering Quartz just landed a very nice heady onto Kento, putting the man count a little bit more even. There's only 20 seconds left. Beastly is still very lit up, and look at this. Quartz still has gas canisters. Beastly's gonna have to try and go somewhere else, but DS is cut down on Plat. There goes all the control the attackers had. Beastly's just gonna have to try and jump through the window. Gomez does get a kill. Kilo finds the refrag. He's gotta jump in, but he's too lit up. Kilo gets both the last and one shot. Despite the fumble by Jacuzzi, still hold on to round number 2 thanks to the anchors.
Well, it certainly was a pretty massive fumble over by that Jacuzzi wall. They went for the miracle run out play, hoping that a double swing could overpower whatever forces that Ariel had been mounting on that jacuzzi balcony, but they weren't even looking the right way. They didn't even see both of the aerial attackers in that position, and I really thought the round was over at that point. But I did forget that, Quartz is bringing that patience, that pro league experience, and Ariel didn't really do much after that. They waited and waited and waited for something to happen, and those two players sitting on that bomb site, they weren't going to budge. They knew they had the one option, and that was sit back and deny Ariel Rise from any entry point, waste as much time as possible. Quartz did that, finding a couple of brilliant kills. Kilo did as well. I mean, that is all you can ask for from those remaining two anchors, and they did their jobs to perfection. It certainly got messy there in the mid-round, with Ariel storming ahead to such a massive lead, but one shot clawing their way back, and it worked. They'll equalize us at 1-1, and now they'll continue to mix things up and head over to gym and bedroom.
5 seconds left.
Yeah, I guess one shot not wanting to go down to the basement just yet. They're focusing mainly on the con hold, the ADSs and the shield. We've got the Thunderbird 2 for more longevity, another shield in the site. Ariel Arise are going to start their take, of course, over by the cache side of things. Wall is left soft. In fact, they actually have the defense has one reinforcement on the interior cache wall. That's interesting. Usually, when you do a when you're doing a con hold, you just reinforce con, leave cache completely soft because you don't hold anyone there. But I guess because con is only one wall now, you don't necessarily need or you only need one. That frees up to put reinforcements elsewhere. And one shot you saw the Jaeger slippery kind of challenging the doorway a little bit. As soon as Ariel Arise start to storm, he's going to be immediately falling back. Now it's mainly going to be on Kilo to see how long he can hold this for, with perhaps some support from Sway.
Well, support from Sway and also from those Kona stations that he himself, as the Thunderbird, is bringing to the table. Several of these power positions spread throughout this bomb site to give this defense of one shot a bit more of a foothold in certain power positions, and maybe enough extra health to allow them to maintain those positions for just a bit longer. It's going to be hard to maintain that position, though, now that Wimpy has established this long angle from Cash, taking this heads-up gunfight. Kilo actually narrowly escapes, gets stemmed up by his own Kona stations, and, well, wastes a C4 right after that. Assuming somebody was going to swing on him from the metal balcony, a valid assumption, but nobody was there from Ariel to take the brunt of that impact. But despite most of this round already transpiring and only about 70 seconds remaining, not a single kill has been found. We still are at a dead even standstill between these two teams. Ariel forced to now rotate around, opening up that jacuzzi wall and approach this from a bit of a different avenue.
Quartz is going to be the first one to take an engagement in the lobby. Very lit up. The nade, getting caught by the ADS. Not going to finish him off. Still holding on to Bathroom. Sway gets the first pick onto Beastly. Down goes Thermite, but the wall's already been opened. Pento lands another onto Kilo. I'm not quite sure how Gomez didn't land any shots on the slip there, because it looked like he really should have, but in comes the push from Wimpy. Finishing off Quartz tucked in the corner. Diffuser now in the hands of the attack once again, but Swaylin is holding on to Khan. He'll get one, but traded out by the pistol. Kento looking for another, will nearly let up Storms, but he's recovered by that Thunderbird gadget. Gomez will not find the kill. There's the Frost Mat as well coming into play. Wimpy stuck in Bathroom. It leaves Kento all alone on the site with the 5-7, and he can do nothing against Storms. One shot take round number 3 and a 1-round advantage.
God, I just love Frost Mats, and I love that she is back in this meta in a big way. I say back in, but like, she used to be such an irrelevant force in any sort of competitive siege atmosphere, and I just love that teams are now realizing that, wait a minute, nobody's looking at the floor when they have to push in these last few seconds. Plus the deployable shield she brings to the table. She is so valuable on a site like Gym and Bedroom that there's really no excuse not to bring her. And yeah, you just saw it right there. A perfect use of that Frost Mat. Wimpy was the first player to jump into Bathroom from that jacuzzi breach and was the first player to get his legs bitten right off by that bear trap. From there, Ariel were in an uncomfortable position because they couldn't get that diffuser down comfortably, and all that intel and that web that they had established around the site, that web of control, they had players just about everywhere, it started to crumble away. and they no longer knew the positions of the one-shot defenders, who were then allowed to just sneak up behind them, go for some flanks, get a couple of frags, and it was curtains. One Shot, a fantastic defense of that gym and bedroom site, despite Arial's maybe early success in approaching that and dealing with that construction presence. They couldn't quite get into the site and actually make anything happen aside from an early kill.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Arial Rise, though, we're back on what seemed to be their attacking bread and butter. Oh wait, Gomez is on Finca. Now, this is before your time, but there used to be a team called Brazilians from the Favelas, and they ran Finca a lot, and this is what they would do with it. They would immediately push into blue, supported by the Finca boost. They have such confidence moving right in. Ooh, that player in the site is distracted by dirt. Quartz goes down first. That's an easy one for Gomez, and look at this full site control for the attackers. Easy as you like. I mean, they weren't even contested. Sway will get one on his ascent back to the site. Down goes Wimpy, but Beastly in the meantime is planting. Slippery will get another in from blue. Beastly now dead. Planter gone. Gomez dead as well. I mean, this attack, they had so much control, they just chose the wrong plant spot. Completely exposed to blue. Kenta will get one back for his team, but it's still a 2 versus 3, and the case control needs to be picked up. Diaz cannot find the head of the Mozzie. He'll persist inside of blue. Diaz is taking damage from multiple angles. Will finally recover the case, but is he going to be allowed to regroup with Kento and have the Ash cover, especially with how low HP Kento is right now? One bullet will probably put him down. Diaz is going to start attempting the plant, but he's nervous about it. He knows that Kento is so low, and he might not be able to do this adequately against all the defenders coming back. Look at this, the simultaneous movement in. There's the kill that they needed. Diaz goes down as well, and One Shot repel the rush. Despite Arial getting literally all of site control in the first 45 seconds, they completely fall to the retake.
I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked that One Shot even could get a kill when they came back to the site. It really seemed that Arial had all the control they needed, and One Shot were caught completely off guard. But once they stepped back in on that basement floor, I mean, everything changes, and my expectations just went right out the window, Harrison. I mean, One Shot, they took a couple of gunfights, and they won them. Still, Arial had site control, and they were in the middle of getting that bomb down. It seemed that there was nothing they could do wrong, but choosing the wrong plant spot was a huge blunder.
Attackers need to
Because
locate and
there are
defuse
only
as
two
many
positions that, really two reasonable positions that defenders are going to rotate back to site after being caught off guard by a rush like that. And that is dropping the moto hatch if it's open, or pushing down blue. I mean, this is pretty typical stuff that anytime you circumvent a clubhouse roam, that's exactly how you get back to site. You run down the red stairs, you run back towards secret, you go into blue, and you challenge players fighting you on that generator, and exposing that planter to blue was a bit of an oversight from Arial Arise. Also, the element that One Shot brought to the table of actually going for that retake, but then stopping and allowing Arial to dig themselves further into that hole was great. We didn't see One Shot panic once they discovered that Arial had the site control, right? They didn't sit in blue and moto and all of a sudden go, we gotta run, we gotta challenge, let's take these fights. Instead, they sat back, knowing that they had a couple of frags, that the bomb was dropped, that somebody had to pick it up. They sat back and waited to push together as a team. That shows control. That shows a really good central IGL voice. And that's a great way to win around, if you're asking me.
Yeah, I'll use one of Spirits' favorite words. I'm flabbergasted that they were able to take that back. But well played, One Shot. I mean, that was an incredible retake. All through blue, too. I don't like, what were Arial doing? You gotta just stare in one direction. They've got to attack into cache once again. A site that One Shot were very nearly unsuccessful on, and then came back. One of Swalin's Wamidis is going to take one of those breaching rounds from Kento. And now, it looks like Arial really doesn't know what to do now. It's like, well, there might be more. Gomez is going to try and pressure in from the lounge side of things. He's got a shield to play against. And wow, Slip is just going to deck him from bar Down goes your sledge. What a shot hit by the Vector. And although there's a double impact from the Zoe, he knows that the attackers aren't necessarily going to come in just yet because of the position on red stairs from his teammate. Thus, Storms is able to reposition the bandit batteries, and now the attackers aren't going to be able to deal with this unless they take full control. In comes Diaz. He'll get one onto Swalen, so down goes your red stairs player, and hopefully now Arial will be able to get the wall open.
They should be able to get it done, but still not budging quite yet. Diaz looking for this opportunity, actually just looking for these bandit batteries, honestly. Finally able to deal with those, and you can hear that resounding explosion of the other exothermic charge getting that garage open. So another avenue now for Arial to approach from. But still, they have a lot of work to do. They've got to fight against this Raptors player who is being flashed out of his mind, but he's going to throw a toxic canister perfectly on the mark. Kento, through the smoke, will push on up. No support from his teammate, but he will win that gunfight anyway. However, a quick trade is quickly found because there was nobody from Arial to back that up. Diaz was lagging behind a little bit, wasn't up on Raptors with Kento, and that means that One Shot found that trade for free, and they will maintain control of the site for now. But now the Raptors push is mounting, and it is twofold. You've got two players now, Wimpy and Diaz making this push happen, and Beastly rotating around towards the red stairs. Now, Quartz has to be careful, because he's going to have two players to deal with at once, but using this toxic smoke, he will delay and alleviate the pressure from one of those angles. With that, he'll shut down Beastly as he pushes up the red stairs. He'll whip out that shotgun, and with that smoke, finishing off the final player. A stellar performance from Quartz on the top of red stairs to hold down the site and give One Shot the round.
Yeah, Arial Arise just could not get that wall open thanks to the lounge hold from One Shot. It's so powerful. Those players' secret were nervous about pushing in. I mean, 'cause the player on red stairs prevents... So it's kind of like a catch-22, right? The player on red stairs prevents the secret attacker from going up and peeking the floor holes. But the floor holes also prevents the attacker from going in and taking the red guy for free. So those holes cover each other. And because of that, you saw how nervous Arial were about that position, especially because they lost Gomez over in Wolf, which, you know, Slip just hit a nasty shot on Gomez. That was disgusting. And Arial just didn't know what to do. They couldn't get the wall open. They have to try and push Raptors. I mean, Kento was a trooper going through not only gas canister, but a team flash as well. His goal, I think, was just to kill the guy Raptors, and then after that, his job was done. He could die, whatever. But the rest of his team, I mean... the time was just too low. I would have liked to see maybe, you know, after the... I think maybe Beastly had time to rotate outside to get the wall open. If his teammates just, you know, shot the batteries through the window. Beastly could have, like, rotated out early enough instead of going up red and dying to Quartz. But either way, really, really good hold on that from One Shot. I love what they're doing so far. And we're going to go on to Gym. Arial Arise were, I mean, their Gym take was also... it didn't look confident. I mean, this could easily be a 5-1 defensive half.
Yeah, One Shot are really looking good, and since that first round, I mean, maybe that second round as well, where Arial were close, but not quite there. One Shot have really been putting on a show here. So Arial need to step this up and at least get this second round. It's gonna first come in the form of taking down Slippery, who is what? Not sure what he was doing there. And even after the wall got opened, he decided to sit still, knowing that several drones would be pouring in. Not the wisest of decisions, but once again, when you come to Gym and Bedroom on this bomb site, having that cash player dealt with is something you can expect, although generally not this early. That gives Arial extra time to work with and makes it a bit tougher for One Shot to hold this down with as much confidence. To add to the time that Arial Arise already have to work with, it seems that Beastly is going to get a bit ahead of the game here, and he's going to open up that jacuzzi wall now instead of waiting for much later in the round, a problem that may have tricked up Arial Arise in the previous attempt on this site.
I also like how One Shot switched up instead of the con shield. Now they're playing a Mira setup in Bathroom and Logi. Unfortunately, the Logi Mira might now be rendered unplayable because of the hatch being opened by Gomez. And One Shot have not taken the man count back just yet. Orts is looking to get aggressive out the Jacuzzi breach, but it's actually Kilo to get that kill. Wimpy falls next. Kilo going huge with the Thunderbird. One of the only rifles on defense, finding 2. Kento is also down on the floor, and just like that, Arial Arise are in dire straits because of one player getting aggressive. And, well, pretty much, I think that was almost like a triple swing onto the Jacuzzi breach. Gomez is very nervous about a potential C4 coming and claiming both him and Kento's lives, but we'll get off the balcony and leave Kento alone for now, as maybe Gomez goes in either from below or over towards where the Jacuzzi breach is, but it looks like the breach will be where Diaz posts up. I don't know if he just went on the roof or if he's going... Okay, he's going to team kill Kento instead. I was way off base, I guess. He's going to be able to destroy the shield in the middle of the site, but there's only 40 seconds left. There is a frost on the board, too, so if he jumps through this window, he's going to have to look down, and he's really relying on Gomez to make a play up main stairs to allow him through, but Gomez isn't going to check his right. Right? Wait, there was someone there. Strokes kills him anyway, and Kilo gets a third in one shot. Take a very, very dominant first half.
Wow. I mean, I figured this one would be close, and I figured it'd be exciting here. And I figured the clubhouse is defensive sided, but I did not think we'd see a 5-1 half off the rip. I was definitely thinking more in the vein of that 3-3 half, that 4-2 half that we come to expect, especially from a team that Arial Arise, who, as far as my experience with them goes, never, like, they aren't a team that struggles on the attack disproportionately than the others. And coming up against One Shot, a team who we just saw make several mistakes, right? Those weren't clean rounds by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Slippery just threw his life away, okay? Ariel's still struggling, and still their inability to make that one happen, I think it speaks more to how well One Shot are playing right now. They're playing extremely coordinated. They're playing together. And even though Arial may be starting off several rounds with an advantage, and they have the time, they have all the map control they could need, One Shot have an answer for that, what feels like, every single time.
Now it's Ariel's turn on the defense. They're also going to establish a bit of a roam, only this time they're bringing the Malusi and a Thunderbird. So no castle in sight. If anybody is holding down bar, they'll be a little bit more exposed than normal. Let me just see where they place the Thunderbird gadgets. Are those all? I think they're all on site. So none of them are supporting the roamers. Instead, they're by common anchor positions. But if the attackers, the worrying thing about playing a Thunderbird on the site too, right, is that Thunderbird works for everyone. If the attackers are able to take in quick enough, fry Gomez, and get an arsenal, get an armory like we saw Arial do, those Thunderbirds then turn in their favor, and any damage they established, or any damage they took on the rush, could potentially be wiped away. Actually, there is going to be a Thunderbird on the first floor too by B1. And curiously enough, despite the heavy roam, Moto Hatch is closed.
Yeah, so it seems that Arial might be committing to these positions a little bit firmer than you would normally expect, right? You open that Moto Hatch, it gives you an avenue to escape. If you don't, you really put yourself in a do-or-die position, and we may see that come into fruition a little bit later. For now, One Shot will only begin to start pressuring out from this top floor. We did see earlier somebody push down into strip and open things up to start pressuring onto bar, but that position is not going to be super strong until they get control of the top floor of this map, and that's what they're doing right now. The Jacuzzi wall now opened wide. They'll be sweeping their way through bedroom and construction, forcing out Diaz and Wimpy along the way. Once they do that, they should have a bit of a foothold on this site, but another factor they're going to have to contend against is Gomez. A heavy roam coming out, and at its onset, not proving successful for Arial. You've already lost one player.
Storms are going to get the first frag, make it the second. Gomez, who is crouch walking up main stairs, will be felled. That leaves the only roamer up, I believe, Kento, and he is getting pressured by a lot right now. A nade coming in as well could claim his life, and it will. Kento stuck between a rock and a hard place. Will get claimed by Quartz. Swaylin, in the meantime, knocked another off the board. That's Wimpy dead, and that leaves Beastly on main stairs in a 1 versus 5. There's one. There's two. Can he find the third? He turns his back. No, it's Kilo from the top ropes to jump down as all of One Shot were just barreling towards the last player. He was bound to die eventually, and One Shot take a monstrous, almost insurmountable 6-1 lead.
I gotta say, I am impressed with One Shot, but surprised that Arial Arise lost that round just so brutally. I mean, their roam setup, I'm sure it's worked for them before, but the viability of that kind of setup was called into question by the just efficiency, by the clinical nature of that roam clear. It was textbook the entire way. One shot, they had all the intel they needed to get that clear going. And even when Ariel tried to go for some big brain plays, particularly the retake from Gomez up the main stairs, I mean, that was simply
Attackers
shut
need to
down
locate and defuse
immediately.
as many bombs as
They
they
never
can.
even had a chance of working. And yeah, essentially a flawless round. Of course, two players getting downed by the shotgun in the end to prevent the flawless from coming out, but not losing a single player on their roam clear and taking out every single player of Arial Arise, that is definitely something that can be commended. And sitting on match point, a 6-1 lead, like you said, honestly looks to be insurmountable given the way that these two teams are matching up against each other. And I'm surprised that we haven't seen Arial Arise take this time out and try to
10
regroup.
seconds left. 5 seconds left.
Arial are
Attackers must locate
running
and
quite the
defuse bomb.
unorthodox setup. The cache with a master extension, supported by not only a shield, but perhaps the Tachanka staying there as well. Very light site presence, with Diaz and Gomez both in garage. Wimpy on red, now Beastly. Okay, so it looks like Beastly might be kind of hovering back and forth depending on where the initial push is coming from, just trying to delay as best he can. The initial entry, that is. I wonder how One Shot are going to pick this apart, because, I mean, theoretically, it is very, very possible that you just take Garage and completely ignore Kento and the utility that's dedicated to his position, because some of those Garage walls, I mean, they're left soft. And One Shot have been on top of their utility game so far, and their clears have been deadly. If they just walk into Garage, take that control, I mean, screw Master, who cares?
Yeah, for now, I mean, it's just the slow game of taking this control from below. With that, removing those bandit batteries and stunning out Wimpy, they'll easily be able to get that exothermic charge off, and considering it's only been 60 seconds, that is a job well done. Wimpy still alive, so that is a saving grace for Arial. They haven't lost that bandit who was unable to trick that wall successfully, but One Shot are now building up this pressure from a pretty typical CCTV approach. You're getting your garage open up. That's what Kilo's doing here with those X-Kairos pellets. You've got your platform wall open. This two-pronged approach is all but set up. Now it's just about getting that done. You've got the drones in position, identifying Gomez sitting here on rafters, a position that is one that he will hold until he dies, and, well, that may come rather quickly as Swaylin and Slippery light two players up. Slippery gets a second, but Diaz goes massive and gets two of his own. He'll now drop down and try to escape the onslaught now coming into this site, but you cannot escape Slippery's grasp. He will deal with Kento, leaving Diaz all alone, and simply, it will not be allowed to happen. Slippery lighting up every single player of Arial Arise, and One Shot will take a dominant 7-1 victory here on Clubhouse.
Wow. Well, what we assumed to probably be one of the best matches Group A has seen in the season so far ends up being a breeze. Wow, every single player on One Shot was positive in that game. Huh.